Hello everybody, this is Godzilla 2010 again, coming at you with a new Godzilla toy review. As you can tell by the title, today we are going to be reviewing the Bandai Japan Shin Godzilla. But no, today we're going to be reviewing the Bandai Japan Shin Godzilla figure. Alright. Well, let's get started as per usual with the detail. Now, Bandai Japan has been usually known for their very, very good detail, but this isn't quite actually on par with what they usually do. It's very good, and I would say it's acceptable by all means, but it's not their best. It kind of seems like it's dumbed down a little bit, maybe for kids or something, I don't know, but it definitely could use some work, but it's definitely not bad. A good way to compare it would be to pull out another older Bandai Japan figure. Here's the 1954 Godzilla. As you can see, the detail on this figure is a lot more like in depth, and the etchings are all like individually sculpted and such. But that's just one example. They could have done a better job on the detail, but overall, I think it really is really good, and it definitely captures the idea of Shin Godzilla in general. Aside from that, the sculpt itself is really cool. I really like the design of Shin Godzilla. Very creepy, very almost zombie-esque, almost like a zombified 1954 Burning Godzilla hybrid thing. Very interesting. I really like how the classic dorsal spines go down the tail and then turn into these spines here. I think that's really cool, and then they taper off into the end of the tail. Ends very abruptly here, which is very odd, but I still think it's very unique and interesting. And of course, the tail is enormous. This is, from head to tail, that's easily a foot, I would say, and probably more than that. It's crazy. Probably the longest tail I have from any figure, at least at this scale. Alright, so next we'll talk about paint job. The paint on this figure is rather sloppy, to be honest. Shin Godzilla has a lot more red on him, at least from what we've seen in the trailers, than he does on this figure. As you can see, he has the red in his chest and going up his neck, which is very accurate. And then you have this really cool effect on the back plates where the red or the orange is down in the back, and then it kind of is gradiented up a little bit, fades out, so it makes it look like it's glowing almost. And that's a really neat effect. And of course there's red on the end of the tail, but I'm pretty sure on the actual CGI model you can see red in much more places, probably around the thighs especially, and maybe, you know, in a few more places around the back and stuff. So mostly this is just a black vinyl piece with a few red touches to it. So that's kind of sloppy on Bandai Japan's part, but I think it works for the most part. And we have some classic Godzilla yellow for those feet. The arms are not painted, nor claws are painted either. We've got some yellow teeth, and then we have a blank white pupil, and I don't believe that's how it is in the movie. But paint job could have been a lot better, but I think it's acceptable for what this is. Alright, so let's talk about articulation real quick. Both of his arms move, so we have 1 and 2, move in and out like that, and then both of his legs will move, 3 and 4. So, that's 4 points of articulation. Nothing spectacular, just about to be expected for this kind of Godzilla figure. Pretty basic, pretty standard stuff, so that's fine. Next, we're going to move on to scale and comparisons. First of all, let's compare him to the 1954 Godzilla again. This is the Bandai Movie Monster Series, 1954 Godzilla, I believe. Obviously, the Shin Godzilla design takes a lot from the 1954 design. They do look very similar, and it was, of course, the choice of the filmmakers to make Shin Godzilla appear like the 54 Godzilla, to make him appear, you know, as terrifying as he possibly can be, and I think I agree. This is the most terrifying incarnation of Godzilla yet. Yeah, so they look very similar. In reality, Godzilla 1954 is only 50 meters tall, and Shin Godzilla is like 118 meters tall, so he'd only probably be up to the thigh there. So that's kind of weird. And next, just for a quick what if, or for whatever reason, here's the Bandai Creation original 1954 Godzilla. Same kind of thing here, it's just, yeah, it takes a lot from the design. Next, let's compare him to the Bandai Creation, or Bandai America 2014 Godzilla. I don't have the Japan figure, nor do I intend to get that one, because frankly it doesn't look very good, but here we have it next to the newest incarnation of Godzilla, so we have two separate Godzilla series running concurrent with each other, which is a very big step towards the longevity of this franchise, I believe. The sequel to the 2014 Godzilla is slated for 2019. Shin Godzilla doesn't have a sequel yet, but there's an anime Godzilla film apparently coming out in 2017, so that's another interesting note. So yeah, these two are very different. This one's really animalistic, and this one's really monster-esque. So you have a realistic approach and then a not-so-realistic approach, but both are almost are like sort of a yin-yang to each other. You know, it's like we have the Protector Godzilla, we have like the Animal Godzilla, and then we have the Destroyer, or the Monster Godzilla. So it's two sides to a very diverse character. And next, just for these last 3, 4 or so, mostly just for funsies, we have Burning Godzilla, Bandai Creations Burning Godzilla, just to kind of see, you know, how the red looks on two different Godzillas. Very, very different approaches to how these figures work, and how these designs work. So it's kind of really neat to see how Godzilla has evolved over the years, and how unique the designs are. And next, this is the last Godzilla. We will compare him to my translucent 1968 Godzilla. I do have the regular one, but he's just kind of tucked away, and it's kind of hard for me to get him out, so I just use the translucent one instead. It's the same exact mold. So, mostly this is just for height comparisons, because Shin Godzilla is rather tall. It's a rather tall figure. It's a 7-inch figure instead of a 6-inch figure, I believe. And I wanted to compare it to the other abnormally tall Godzilla. And this 1968 Godzilla is still taller by, I don't know, like a 1/4 of an inch or something like that. It's pretty crazy how big this figure is, and I don't know why Bandai Creation decided to make this one so big, but that was just then I just wanted to see how they scaled up together. And next to the exact opposite of what I just did, here we have the Bandai Japan Ultraman from the 500 series. This is probably one of the smallest figures I own, and I just wanted to see how these two stack up against each other. And Ultraman that's at least an inch difference, so very funny. And Ultraman would be even smaller than 1954 Godzilla. I believe Ultraman was only like 40 meters in the original Ultraman, so yeah, very tiny. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have the Bandai Japan Muto from the 2014 Godzilla film. This is the male Muto, of course. This is way out of scale, but you know what? It's the only 6-inch Muto figure, so really cool stuff to see these two together. What if? I wonder what happened if they fought together. So since he does not come in a box, let's take a look at his tag real quick. Now this is the Shin Godzilla, or Godzilla Resurgence, what have you, Godzilla figure tag. Obviously we have the poster. This is the Japanese poster for Shin Godzilla, Godzilla Resurgence 2016. For some reason that's... oh no, I thought it said 2014, it says 2016. With the 1962 Godzilla emblem there. Of course you have the very first image of Godzilla released for this year. Inside we have some Japanese, and we have the official Godzilla trademark, and probably some promotional info for the movie, some biography information, blah blah blah. And then on the back we have this very cool mold with like the Godzilla Scuds there. Pretty sure that says Shin Godzilla, etc. Blah blah blah. Bandai. Very cool tag. Pretty standard stuff except for this right here, but it's a brand new 2016 figure, so really enjoy it. In terms of rarity, Shin Godzilla has just been released, as in the figure, of course. The movie itself will come out in America in a couple of weeks or so, and I am going to see it out of town, but the figure itself was released only a month ago, or a couple months ago or so, so it's relatively new. However, it's a hot item because lots of fans want one, including myself, of course. So I got mine for about $25 off of a seller from Japan, which is an okay deal for this. If you can find cheaper, obviously go for the cheaper option, because it's a cheap looking figure, but it's a very, very good representation of Shin Godzilla, and it's probably the best one that we have so far, at least of this version of him. So I would say search hard on Amazon for the best price possible, and search hard on eBay for the best price possible, or Big Bad Toy Store, or whatever, whoever sells this figure. Because I had to wait several weeks to get this in the mail from Japan. It was supposed to come later, but thankfully it came earlier, so now I have it before I get to see the movie. So it's a fairly hot item right now. It might become cheaper later on, but it's kind of hard to tell. So I wanted to just jump on it and get it while it's hot and while it's new, to ride the hype and to add it to my collection before he gets out of hand, if he gets out of hand at all. And I'd recommend the same to you if you actually want a Shin Godzilla. I would personally recommend this one, and not maybe like the Ben Presto or the 12-inch or the SH Monster Arts. But if you really want the SH Monster Arts, I hear it's not getting a US release, so if you really want the SH Monster Arts, you're gonna have to shell out like $150 for it. So, you know, I think you could wait for the NECA too, potentially. I probably will get that one whenever it comes out, but for right now, I definitely recommend this Bandai Japan Shin Godzilla. And that's about it for this review. Overall, I really enjoy this figure. I think it's a really neat representation of the new Shin Godzilla. It's very creepy, very grotesque, and very different from Godzilla, especially from what we've seen only a couple of years ago. So I'm very excited for the movie. I can't wait to see it. I'll probably say something about it once I see it. But yeah, definitely really, really enjoyable figure to have here in your collection, if you can find room for it with this gigantic tail. Overall, I'd definitely give it a like 4.5 out of 5, I guess, because the paint job is sloppy, the detail is a bit lacking, but the design and just the fact that it's, you know, the new Godzilla really just makes up for that, for the, you know, missing features that would normally maybe come in a Bandai Godzilla figure. So I would definitely recommend him if you can find him for a decent price. Alright, this is Gzilla 2010 signing off. See you later, guys.